Spirit Fitness CE800 Elliptical Trainer Assembly Instructions. First thing you're going to want to do is cut all the straps off, and then flip the box over, get that one box out, and then pull the box off, and then begin removing all of the plastic and all of the foam, and setting all of the pieces aside to begin assembly. In this first step, you're going to want to slide the rail assembly under the rear oval stabilizer tube of the main body. Then you're going to want to bolt the two together with 2 bolts and washers from the top of the tube and 4 bolts and curved washers through the front of the oval stabilizers. Make sure all 6 bolts are tightened very securely. Then you're going to want to attach the 2 foot pads to each of the corresponding mounting plates using the 8 screws provided. Then you're going to want to assemble the pedal arm assemblies to the crank axles of the main body. You'll just slide those on and then use the 2 bolts and washers that are provided. Just make sure that you don't try to force these on, because that could cause damage to the bearings. Then you'll want to install each of the 2 covers over the pedal arm connection at the axle with the 2 screws provided. After installing those covers, you'll want to install the wheel covers. There are 4 screws provided to do this. Then we're going to want to install the steel covers over the rails. First we'll just put these mounting brackets on in the middle and hand tighten these down for now, and then later come back in and we'll tighten those down all the way. The next thing we'll do is just take these screws out of these little plates so that we can fit the pedal arm actually back through those. Once we have the steel cover on the rails, then we can go back in and actually put in the front mounting bracket to this. We'll just hand tighten it for now, and then once all of the screws in the side are put in, then you can go back in and tighten that and that middle bracket back down. After tightening this middle bracket and the front bracket down, go back in and put these plates back on, and then repeat the process on the other side. And for the last part of this step, we'll just install this aluminum step rail. We'll use 2 bolts in the back with curved washers, and then 2 bolts in the front with flat washers. You'll just want to make sure all of these are extremely tight. Then you'll need to install the smaller cover on each side, just above the steel covers that cover the rails. Each of these are held in place with a single Phillips head screw. First thing you want to do in this step is to put these bolts down just slightly so that it makes it a little easier later. And you'll want to unsnake that cable and then feed it through the console mast using the twist tie that goes all the way through. Then you can come back in and tighten these bolts all the way back down. You'll want to make sure that all of these are very tight to avoid noise later. Then we'll take these sleeves off the console mast axles, and then put the console mast covers on each side and then secure with the 4 screws provided. After that, we'll want to slide a wave washer onto each side of the axle, and then we'll come back in and put the swing arms on either side, and then secure these down with a washer and with a bolt. Just make sure that you don't try to hammer these on or to force these on, because again, it could damage the bearings. After that, we'll move to the bottom of the swing arms and attach them to the rod ends of the pedal arms using 2 shoulder bolts, and nylon nuts. You'll also want to make sure that these are secured very tightly. You don't want these moving around because that'll give a little bit too much play in the arms, and then it could also cause some noise. In this last step, we're going to install the console and the beauty covers. First thing you want to do is take the twist tie off the main harness and then off the hand pulse cables, and then pull the console up and attach them each to their corresponding connections on the console. Once the wiring connections have been made, you'll want to come back with 4 Phillips screws and tighten these down to the console mast. The next part of the step is going to be to install the swing arm pivot point covers using the 6 screws provided. Next thing we'll want to do is to install the 4 covers to each of the pedal arms. There's a smaller cover and then there's a larger cover for each pedal arm. Make sure that the smaller covers are installed facing up. There's an up arrow designation on each of those covers so that you can make sure that that is facing up. Those can be installed upside down otherwise. You can install all of these using the Phillips head screws. Very last thing we'll need to do is to install the front cover that goes over the front stabilizer. There are 2 Phillips head screws that will hold this in place.